But then she comes out, and she comes out in a highly produced fashion, an address with the flag and teleprompter, obviously, and creates a whole new controversy. So let's talk, Bob, first about, was there any good approach for her? Wasn't she going to be criticized no matter what she did?
Oh, I don't know. I think Governor Pawlenty had a good idea, which was to suggest that there never should have been gun sights put over her district and some other districts. I think she simply could have said, I'm sorry, I don't think it had anything to do with this, but I wish we'd never done it. And I think that would have ended the controversy and helped her. Instead, what she's done is basically appealed to Glenn Beck and her base with this video that she's put out there. The use of the word blood libel, for example, is extraordinary. It refers to centuries of the killing of Jews in Europe. She says in the piece that there is no reason to believe that, or that we should not be deterred from the kind of speech that she wants to engage in by those who embrace evil and parade it as good. Now, who's evil here? This is a Manichaean view of the political universe where you're either good or you're nefarious.
Pat, could she have defended herself, or should she have just avoided that and said, let's focus on the victims, and sort of risen above it, as David Frum had suggested a few days ago?
No, I don't think so. I think she's done this exactly right in this sense. First, I think she was correct in staying out of this and letting this, and there has been vitriol and hatred directed at her. Unsupportable, as you said. There's not a single shred of any evidence that anything she said or did in the campaign had a connection to this individual, who apparently bore a grudge for 3 years against the Congresswoman. And 3 years ago, and 3 years ago, she was still governor of Alaska. I think she's got to respond to this, because this is an insupportable slander. It is vicious. Columnists like David Brooks say that, people who condemn the viciousness are engaged in this vicious attack upon her. I think to say what she did, call it what it is reprehensible and insupportable slander. And the other part of her statement I thought was exactly right. So I think the decent interval that she waited for 4 days while this was going on before responding was correct. And frankly, I thought it was an excellent statement. With regard to the phrase blood libel, that of course refers to the libel that was used in the Middle Ages, charges against Jews which were utterly unsupportable slanders. And I think she's using it in that context.
Well, Bob, if she had avoided the phrase blood libel, perhaps she didn't know of the context of that phrase. It has been used elsewhere. It was used in the Wall Street Journal by a columnist. Maybe she was ignorant of it, to give her the benefit of the doubt.
I think it is amazing that Sarah Palin goes out there and suggests, for example, that the people who disagree with her are evil.
Mm-hmm. I don't think she suggested the people who disagree with her are evil.
Oh, Pat, she did. Read the statement. Read the statement. Those who embrace evil and parade it as good.
Let me say this about Sarah Palin.
Read the statement.
She is not a dispenser of hate, Mr. Shrum. She is a victim of hate.
I didn't say she was. I said she just suggested that the people who disagree with her are evil. Now, we're vigorously debating, Pat, but I'm not saying you're evil.
Thank you very much. What I'm saying is,
but I hope you would say the same thing about me.
She's a victim of hate, and I think there's an awful lot of people.
Come on, she's no victim.
In the last several days,
she's no victim. She's been out there taunting people for 2 years.
Okay.
Well, wait a minute, but you do not draw a moral connection or moral dots between Sarah Palin's statement.
At the beginning that
I'm talking to Andrea, between her statements and what happened, what that evil individual did, and that is what is being done. And that, to me, is unsupportable slander. It is outrageous. She has a right and an obligation to respond after taking this for 4 days. And I do think people have been responding to the people who have been doing this, and we know who they are.
And we're going to have to leave it there.